what do we have here? Big freaking cooler. It's a big freaking radiator. Champion Cooling Systems. I picked this one up through Power by the Hour. Of course, they've been helping me out with a bunch of stuff. But they got a new unit for me. Right now I just have it zip tied in place. We're going to be working on getting this cooling system attached everywhere that it has to be. I had to kind of figure out where that is, but yeah, regardless, here it is. I also have a fan by Champion that I'll be putting on here after I get the cooling lines figure out what I need, what I don't have, what I want, all that stuff. But this is like the short version of it. One thing that you do need is this part number right here. It's a reducer because I believe it's this upper radiator hose line is smaller than the one that comes with the GT. So this is just an adapter to make it a little bit smaller. I'll show you exactly where it comes in, but just remember that part number right there. So I have everything in place now. Well, almost everything. The upper radiator hose, turns out that the performance pack, or it turns out the control pack comes with a new one. So I'm just going to keep this as a backup. The little coupler, that adapter, goes right here. Now, I do just have this style of clamp on here. I think I'm going to change it to an actual hose clamp because these have a tendency to expand and compress with heat, which is fine for a normal setup without the spacer, but I think I want that extra clamping force of an actual hose clamp on here. So I'll change that out later. I put the Y bridge here, or I don't know exactly what they call it, but I put the Y here from the thermostat, upper radiator hose, and then this goes to the water pump. I don't have the hose for this yet to cross that over and just link it or cap it or anything, but I'll be getting that soon. And then the control pack also came with the lower radiator hose that I need. It is very close, very, very close. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but figured maybe it will be fine. I don't know. There's clearance. I could probably take off this cardboard that I've been using to protect it and then start working on the fans, get the fan mounted up, and then work on getting that wired into the control pack. So we're getting close to it being a car that can actually like idle now, not just run for a few seconds, but have a full cooling system that idles and all that crap. Pretty cool. So I have the shroud here. I put the fan over it, centered it up, and then I marked the 4 holes that I wanted to drill through. And obviously I did not do it on top of the motor. I just put it up here so that it was a little bit easier to see. I had it so that the power wire goes straight off to the side. That was my solution for it. You can actually clock it kind of anyway. It's a universal mount. But this is how I did it. I may have to make these holes a little bit bigger. I don't think so. But we'll figure that out. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the fan on here and then get that screwed down for now though. All right, got this in place, got the bolts on, or nuts and bolts on the inside obviously. I used locking nuts. They have like ridges on them to help them not back out. I did not use Loctite. We'll see how that works. Maybe in the future I'll put some foam here just to try and box that little section up a little bit better. I'll do that on both sides. Right now, it's not sitting perfectly center, but you know, I don't have the bolts in for this. It's just zip tied in place. Just not a, it's not a test fit, but it's not a permanent thing. The reason that I need this right here is because I want to start mounting up the cooling system for the power steering. I have a new pump, or I have the new GM pump, and then I also have the Hydroboost. Both of those things are going to cause a lot of extra heat to be inside of the system. I need to make sure that it doesn't overheat, otherwise I'll have issues with both my brakes and my steering, which are 2 things pretty dang important. So now that the radiator is in place where it's going to be, again, I'm missing my like mounts here, but who cares? I have them. They're somewhere up there, I think. Anyways, now that I have this set in place, I can get the cooler that I have, figure out how/where I'm going to mount that, and then, you know, work on the rest of it. Maybe I'll do it in front of this, which might kind of be a pain because then I got to take it off and put little things in. Doesn't matter though. I'll figure that out. I got this thrown in place. I had some gasket just laying around, actually from the fuel tank that I threw in before. So I put that on it just to make sure that it's not going to rub through here. And then these guys are These guys are just this. And they came actually with the fan, but I'm not using them for that. So put that through. Now underneath, you can see, got those guys. I don't know how permanent this is going to be. We'll see how long it lasts without giving me an issue. I'll, just keep up with it. But generally speaking, I think this is roughly where I want the power steering cooler anyways. So now I can work on getting the lines ran to here and actually measure where it's going to be. Once I get the reservoir mounted for the power steering and Hydroboost fluid. So maybe that's next. I think that might have to be next, right? That would make sense if that was next. So many things to do, but a lot of stuff is getting done. Very happy about that. So this is the power steering reservoir that I have. Now I went ahead and mounted it just right here. This has holes on the bottom, and then it also has 2 on the back. So I drilled a couple holes through this. This was an existing hole. This one I added on, and then got that mounted in place right here. Now what I can probably do is run my lines out through here, if I so choose. But that is for washer fluid, which I probably am thinking about keeping the washer fluid on it. I'll have wiper blades, figure that out later. Doesn't matter, but this should be a good spot for it. And now I can figure out how I want to route my lines to get over to here. I can mount them onto here and whatnot. It's just, I think it's a good spot. It also should give me more than enough room to put a cone filter over inside of that area the way that I want. So I like the spot overall. All right, so here's currently where I'm at. I have the line coming off of the low pressure line into the auxiliary here for the reservoir. And then I also have the in to the reservoir here already going down to this. Now, I don't know if I should be using this AN line or not. Probably not, but I can get that swapped out at any time. Not a big deal. Here's what I still need because I just didn't pick them up. I need the fittings for the Hydroboost here, and then I also need the fittings for the steering rack down there. I also need a short bit of line to go from here to here, and the fittings. Now, they did give me the fittings for that right there, which is fine, except for I want something different than the 90 degree. That's not their fault. They didn't give me the wrong thing. It's just not quite what I want because I'm mounting it in a different spot than most people do. So with where mine is, I want the 45 degrees, but it's a heck of a lot closer than it was, right before. I'm going to talk to Frank. I need to run the line from here over to here, and then from here down to the steering rack. Then the low pressure side of the steering rack goes to here, goes right back in. So that will be that wrapped up, but obviously I need some parts and I can't get them right now. So I'm making this high pressure line for the power steering. And one quick thing I want to show you is in order to get this down, it was such a pain for the first one that I did. I ended up taking it out and doing what I'm doing here, which is I got some automatic transmission fluid, which you should probably just use the power steering fluid you're going to use. But doesn't really matter because it's not enough to really change anything. I got that on the threads and I put some down in the hose. That way this was a lot easier to get started for one and then keep going for the other. So this, having it on here, I even got it started just by hand, really easily. First thing that I would do is just put a little bit of fluid on. Helps make this process a lot easier because these high pressure lines are a lot harder to do than the fuel lines that I was doing. All right, we got this hose made up, and then I know it might not look the best, but what I had in mind was going straight from here to here with the 45. It's not gonna work. So this was the next best option that I could have. You're gonna have the master cylinder right there, so it's not gonna matter too much anyways, but yeah, it's a thing. This line goes down. I'll end up zip tying it to the K-member down there, but if we come down here, you can see it goes to this end, and then this goes out to our the cooler, and this goes out to the cooler. So we're all done. Think I want to figure that out. So that means we need my tongue.